welcome to another episode in our CEO series here on Learn, Grow, Invest. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Richard Pandohie, CEO of Seprod and AS Bryden. We're going to be talking a little bit about his history, how he started at Calabar, at a school that I'm quite familiar with, and his journey to CEO of Seprod, and just, some thoughts about, where the company is right now, where they're headed, what the future looks like, what you as investors can look forward to. And, it's going to be another great conversation, one that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I think that you'll do the same as well. So thanks in advance for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you're brand new, and, let's just get started.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N. Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at Learn, Grow, Invest.
Welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to be on the show.
I really, really do appreciate it. I know our audience has been waiting for this one, so thank you so much. I'll start by asking you, who is Richard?
Well, nothing really exciting there to talk about. Richard Pandohie, Jamaican. Everybody keep asking me if I'm Trinidadian. I'm Jamaican. Born here. Grew up in between St. Thomas and Portmore. Went to Independence City all-age school. Then, common entrance thing. Got to Calabar. That was a great period for me. My dad went to Calabar. My brothers went to Calabar. And then from there, went to UA. Did engineering. My passion was I really wanted to do medicine, to be honest with you. But, the drive to them days you're trying to get out of your parents' house. You're trying to look for freedom. So that's why I became an engineer, believe it or not. And I went there. And then over the years, I've just been very passionate about what I do, right? I'm really driven by wanting to be the best I can be. And to be doing things differently. I've never wanted to walk the path of just get through life and then you retire. And then, I didn't like that. I saw too many people do that. So I've always wanted to make a difference. So whether as an engineer or in operations management or general management and then progress to CEO, the passion has always been the same. And I'm very passionate about the country. I'm super, super passionate about the country. I'm probably one of the most, vocal CEO on social media, that type of thing. Because I believe that we have to speak out. And then, if our platform that can make a difference or can have some sort of influence, we should use it. So, again, I'm a family man. I have a few boy picnic. They're all big men now. And I don't know what it is. What is I like? Yeah, I love sports, despite the fact that my genetic pre-inclination prevents me from being very good at any sports. But
I definitely understand that one. But I do agree with you, being vocal. I can't think of any other CEO who speaks out as much as you do on social media. And I've seen your past interviews. I see a thread there in terms of your passion for helping the country, giving back, ensuring that, persons have an opportunity, so good stuff. So, tell us about your path to CEO of Seprod and now for AS Bryden as well, that we'll speak more about later.
Well, there's no path really. A lot of people ask about, how do you plan your career? How do you take advantage of your career, whatever. So I was one of those people. I was never really interested per se in saying, okay, at the start, I'm going to be CEO. That was never the vision. I've always looked at jobs as projects. And so if you were to look at my resume, you'd probably wonder why I should hire this person, because I've had so many jobs. And for such short periods. Prior to Seprod, I think the longest I've ever worked at any company was 5 years, maybe. And about Seprod 9 years, by the way. So and that's because I look at the organization going as a project. I go there and I execute a project. In my mind, when I've accomplished what I want to do, you look for the next opportunity. And I always looking to learn. So I started as an engineer, I'm a chemical engineer. Came back, worked at L.E.A.R.N, and that was a good couple of years. In them days, it was hard to find chemical engineer because all the chemical engineers are going to the Middle East. So I remember at the time, 4 of us as Jamaicans came back, and Alcan Absorb was paying us pretty well. And then after 2 years, I left, and everybody was in shock. Why would you leave at your age? Such a great paying job. But I left and took like a half the salary they were paying me to go to ESSA to go into sales to get commercial experience. I wanted a sales experience, and and I thought it was really important to have that kind of a background. And the side note to that is that I was told that if I stay at Alcan too long, the caustic soda, I'll cut my nature. So, but that's the next story. But yeah, and then after I went to ESSA, then I decided that you to get into a position where you can get the real project you need to have a more all-round skill set. So I went off to Montreal to McGill University to get some management training, and from there I came back, and I was very blessed. And I came back during the middle of the FinSac situation, so I came back to work in the financial sector, believe it or not, because I was really highly trained in things like derivative financing and all kind of thing, all kind of fancy financing thing, and then come back in FinSac and couldn't find a job, right? I was like, I remember that was such a low point. Your confidence was pretty much shattered, Here you are, you feel bright, Commonwealth scholar, got big university, and come back and can't hold a job. And then JD Hall, who was the CEO for Careers, that employed me as a management trainee for the group. And that's how I started the part in management, working with Patrick Smith at Jamaica Biscuit Company. And then from there, I went to Nabisco. We were part of it, Nabisco. That's my first, that's getting into the multinational world, then into Kraft, running the factories all throughout the region. And then I was doing really well at Kraft in operations, but I wanted to get in the commercial space. And they had said to me at the time that, listen, your part is in operations, this is what you're good at. So I had to leave there again, big salary cut again, end up at Coca-Cola. As country manager, which was like going to university again. Best experience you could ever have in terms of learning about the commercial aspect of business. And in between that, I spent 1 month at Red Stripe. So I had Coca-Cola and Red Stripe on the table at the same time. I was going to pick one, so I went to Red Stripe for a month. I waited till I get my first paycheck, then I left, and then I joined Coca-Cola. And then after that, so that's my first thing as now head of some country manager. Just me alone still in the title. The title big, but the position was very simple. Then I ended up going to IGL, yeah, as managing director after the Trinidad and family bought it during the L.E.A.R.N meltdown. And yeah, that was a really good experience. Left, went back to careers at, British American Tobacco. And each time there was a project, it was a project based. And I went in there, like at IGL, we're number 3 in the business. Gas business wanted to be number 1. We took it there. They've done fantastically well, just divested to Neil and Massey at multiples of what the company has bought for. Congratulations to them. And each step was like that. And eventually I left Jamaica in Latin work, supporting Latin America at BAT. And an opportunity for Seprod came along. And Seprod to me was, when I looked at it, to me, it was an amazing potential project, It's a project that could have an impact on Jamaica, on the region. It could be a legacy defining project. And that's what Seprod has been about. So again, I didn't have a part to CEO. It was never linear. I think a lot of the time we try to coach young people. They want a linear path, They want everything to go like this. Life is not linear. You have to do this sometime to get where you want to go.
Agreed. That sounds like quite an experience, though. You must have just understanding of knowledge of so many diverse backgrounds. Yeah. And Seprod kind of introduces that for you because there's countless brands. Like every time I see something about Seprod, I'm learning about a new brand that you actually manage. So I'll ask you this question because I know you're big on, entrepreneurship and helping, persons do well at that. What is driving you right now as CEO? What motivates you to do what you do every single day?
Yeah, it's really very simple. I want Seprod to be the Jamaica I want to be. We come to our country and, we can criticize a lot of things, and there are a lot of things that we want to be better. But a lot of time we have the space that we have, we don't make it the best it can be. I want Seprod to be just the Jamaica I want to be. I want people to be in a position where they feel excited about their space, where they feel they're being compensated properly, where we can be globally competitive. We're producing great brands. I mean, you want that space, and I think that maybe I'm not at a national level, but certainly not in the space I can make it something that will be a benchmark. It can be emulated, or it can be something that we can work towards. So that drives me every day. I mean, I'm obviously you want to be you want to compensate for what you do. I mean, you want to look after your family, but that's an outcome. That's an outcome. The biggest thing for me though is just being passionate about making Seprod just totally the best I can make it to be. Not just in Jamaica, but in the region and beyond. I mean, when people look at Seprod, I say, oh, not but it's a good Jamaican company. That's why I say it's a good company. Period. And that's where I went. I'm very competitive, super competitive. I want to go out there and mix it up with the big boys. Huh? You want to play with the big boys? That's me.
Sounds good. I can tell you, Richard, from the interviews I've watched to prepare for this interview, I'm greatly inspired by just the countless stories you've shared. The same thing that you just mentioned, I've seen that thread in multiple interviews that you've said that you're being driven by legacy, by something great. Also, I really appreciate that. Let's talk a bit about Seprod. You mentioned wanting to be known as a good company, not just in Jamaica but world class. You have made an investment in building out a logistics center. What was the vision behind that center, and what do you hope it will have in terms of impact for the company?
Right. So I mean, the idea of a logistics center, the distribution center, is actually something that you see a lot of companies are building out in Jamaica. And the idea for us, we kept calling it a logistics campus, right? I want to use the word campus very deliberately, because we're trying to create an ecosystem here where it's not just about the work aspect of your life, but we're trying to make sure we deal with all aspects of our stakeholder lives, whether it's our employees, whether it's people who are contracted drivers, it's anybody. And in fact, I want to be an example in the community of what, again, if you come to our logistics, the center that we're talking about, we've invested a lot in landscaping. It might sound simple, but Jamaica does harsh, There's a whole heap of concrete everywhere, and you don't have the green space that to relax people and to show that the beauty of our country. So, for example, that's an example, and people write me, WhatsApp me, and say, "Boy, we just drive past it. It's so nice seeing it. It makes a difference to the community." And we hope that other companies will do the same thing. But the idea is also to create efficiency. We want to be world class in whatever we do. I mean, one thing that is happening in Jamaica is that a lot of discussion around compensation and salary, and people are missing the point about how it links back to productivity. And so we have to set up our system. We're setting up our, you're speaking specifically about the logistics center, about making it where we can benchmark the best in class. And the idea is to make sure a system that is, warehouse management system, utilizing all the technology, AI, where people can get in, get out quickly. We can reduce the per box movement in a way that we can keep prices at a level and below, so we can then have our consumers having their disposable income doing a lot more for them. So the idea is to create that environment and to make one of our staff, when they come, this is only one part of our operation, but when they come, they can feel that this is somewhere they want to be. They want to be excited about. Well, they certainly want to get up and say, "Lord God, it's another work day again." Want them to come and say, "Boy, they're going to a place that they feel they're going to be comfortable at for the rest of the day."
Awesome. So I'm curious, in terms of your plans for expanding your manufacturing capacity, are you looking to countries out like maybe Guyana, Trinidad, to just kind of expand, I guess, your capacity in that way? What are the plans for maybe other locations to expand in terms of what you do?
So if you look at Seprod now, right, we've evolved quite dramatically in the last few years, probably I said within the last 10 years. I mean, effectively now, maybe up to 50% of our revenue base now lies outside of Jamaica, or just about. That's part of expand, not just your regional footprint, but it's a diversification strategy, right? You're diversifying your risk. And if you look at manufacturing, right, one of the key points of manufacturing is a low energy cost. That's why for a long time Trinidad was such a dominant manufacturing base within the region. And now you see Ghana now becoming, they have more oil than Qatar is the numbers out there. And you could see a future where their energy costs could drop very, very, very steeply, which would make them very attractive to manufacturing base. So the short answer to your question is that we're going to keep expanding in manufacturing, probably in areas that will be very unusual, very surprising when we do it. But and those manufacturing bases are likely to be in countries that have energy, that have a very cost-effective energy solution. And so Trinidad, Guyana, obviously on the map. But yes to that question.
Great, awesome. So you are also the CEO of AS Bryden, a company or community members may not know a lot about, but we saw the notice that you'll be listing by introduction this
Right.
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your plans and expectations for the company post listing?
So just a quick background for the listeners who are not aware, Brian. So Bryden's Group was actually turned 100 years old last week Friday in Trinidad. So it's a company that's been around for a long time. It's a part of the footprint of Trinidad. And they're pretty much a distribution company. They have a small manufacturing base. They do some pharmaceutical manufacturing, but they're like they represent like the brands of brands. I mean, they're very top end brands, and they're into the food space. They're in the pharmaceutical space, just like Facey. So it's a mirror image of Facey, and we're very privileged to have the opportunity to buy that company and literally expanded, almost doubled Seprod in the process. Now, one of the culture in Seprod, which is driven by our chairman, PB Scott, is one about he likes the idea of a ownership mentality as opposed to employee mentality in the company. And so we had offered shares to the employees there, and around 54% of the employees took up shares, right? So they're shareholders in the company, and my bosses, right? So one thing that we had committed to doing was taking the company from a very private family to a publicly listed company, both on the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the Trinidad Stock Exchange. I mean, Jamaica Stock Exchange is actually the premier stock exchange in the region, and we thought it would have been very important to do it. It took us a little while, but we're listed next week, and the idea is to make the trades. I mean, we're publicly listed. A lot of our, I mean, it allows opportunity for people to invest in the company, to have activities going. I mean, of course, it comes with responsibility. We have to issue our financial records every quarter, etc. So, and then we will cross list on the Trinidad Stock Exchange at some point in time. If you're going to be regional, you have to be regional properly. We're going to do it properly. We're going to buy, we're going to grow, we're going to list on the stock exchange. I'm going to ask the Caribbean people to come along the journey with us.
Good stuff. And that's awesome, by the way, to see 54% of your employees take that ownership mentality. I do remember at the AGM, PB Scott mentioning that there was a question about, I believe it was either share price or dividends, and he kind of alluded to that same ownership mentality that you mentioned. So it's definitely good to see that, right? Because when I worked at Microsoft, they encouraged us to be owners of the company through their stock purchase program, and that was the best investment I've ever made in terms of, I took ownership while I was an employee, and that has grown, tremendously. Question I have
within Seprod, when we did the same thing a few years ago, I mean, 25% of the employees took up ownership. It was a decent number, but I remember being a little bit disappointed because it's at the time the share price the shares being offered at like 25 Jamaican dollars, 23 Jamaican dollars, and it's the stock is on 70, and dividends have been paid. But I remember, I can't go and tell an employee to buy shares, right? That's a personal decision. I mean, you can tell what your experience is and why you would encourage it, but I can't go on, you can't go and tell somebody to buy shares. Worse in the company. But I remember just being a little bit disappointed with some of the narratives, like if you thought you were tricking them, or it was a level of we need to keep educating our people a lot more about how to create wealth. I mean, it's salary alone, unless you're very, very fortunate, can't help you. I know you have to invest properly and grow. You have a portfolio that you're growing, and you have to start from somewhere. So I mean, I look back now and I'm like, the people who bought, the employees who bought it at Seprod. I mean, every time I see, I mean, when you see them, they're asking about their dividends. And what about this? You ever thought about doing this? Their mentality is different, right?
Yes,
And when the
yes.
dividends get paid, them send a little note or them text or them say and them give a high five. One bought me a beer the other day. I mean, I was very happy about that. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
that's something that we have to keep educating our people about investment. And I think it's still not something that people understand. I think it's a rich people thing. And,
Agreed, agreed.
and
Yeah, that's exactly why we started Learn, Grow, Invest. Actually, we started in 2017 because I was learning, my wife and I, how to invest, and we wanted to help others learn. So I'm sure it would be different now. I'll tell you that when he had that offer for shares at 23.99, I remember it specifically because that was the first time I even thought about having Seprod in my portfolio, and again, that was just an amazing investment that we were able to make. So I think if you were to do a similar offer now, the take up would be different because a lot has changed in the last few years. You have persons like Kalila doing her show, we do our shows as well. So the landscape is different than it was, I believe, in 2018 when you'd have done that. So um,
but
I'm sure it would be different now.
no, I'm sure. But sometimes you have to take the opportunity to present yourself at that time.
Agreed, agreed, agreed. Because it's never going to be at 23.99 for now unless you have some split or something like that.
Exactly.
So the question that I had for you: why choose to go via introduction versus an IPO? What went into that decision?
Well, the IPO, you normally do an IPO when you're looking to raise funds, right? We're not looking to raise funds at this time, but we'll put ourselves in a position where if we had to raise funds, we can do so. So the idea that I mean, so when we look at, we're in the process of doing our budget and our 3-year plan now, and we believe that based on the business that we have, etc., we don't need to go and raise funds at this point in time. But we're in a position to do so. But so the idea is to just get that done, and we did commit to our stakeholders, including the employees, that would have listed. And I mean, it's I think it's part of just being the robustness of the company and going to where we want to go. So I mean, I don't know as to answer that, but that's just the position at this point in
No
time.
worries, no worries. So I thought because you do have some debt on AS Bryden's balance sheet. I thought maybe if you did an IPO, just enough funds to clear that debt, maybe that would just
But
kind of wipe that out for you.
but that is not a bad thing.
It's not. It's
I
not.
mean, it's I think people keep forgetting that if you can have debt that working to earn you more than the debt is costing you, you're winning. And and you can use your funds to do other things. You can build your war chest. I mean, if you look at what's happening in the world now, with geopolitical issues happening, we had the Ukraine Russia thing almost embedded now as a part of our as normal business, but we now have on the Middle East happening, and we don't know where that's going to go. So I mean, you have to build your war chest sometime, and then we keep modernizing, we keep investing, we're spending money on capital expenditure, etc. So I mean, it's can we pay off the debt? Of course, we can put ourselves in a position where we can substantially reduce the debt. I believe so, but I mean, that's not a priority right now. I mean, the debt is working for us.
Okay, fair enough. So I do have a question. You mentioned, conflicts around us. There was, we've been seeing where, there's a claim from Venezuela on, 2/3 of Guyana. Do you see any impact on that for the companies that you're managing? Any adverse effects that you could, maybe think of that you'd need to maybe plan for?
So we don't have it as a risk. We don't have it. We don't have it as a risk at all. I mean, it's been an ongoing conflict for a long time. I think, with the kind of with the amount of American companies in Guyana now with the oil, etc. I think they'll have a lot of protection on the international in the international community. So we don't see it as a risk. We see a lot of rhetoric, and I mean, it could get very heated, but we don't see a risk to business. And hopefully, good sense will always prevail in our region, and that we manage our differences by conversations and nothing else. That's what we hope for.
Okay, okay. So there's also a notice that I saw this week about BOJ suspending acceptance of the TT dollar. Does that impact again your business in any way?
Well, just to clarify, this the BOJ sent out a clarification note yesterday saying that this was done because of the TT Central Bank not accepting the repatriation of TT dollars from the BOJ. That's what I think I read yesterday. But that's not a risk to us. I mean, it's I didn't even know that was even something going on, to be honest. I mean, they're probably walking. I mean, it's not substantial movement of FX for me, so
Okay.
no risk at all.
All right, understood. So I want you to give us a vision for Seprod, or well, pretty much for the group of companies for the next 3 to 5 years. What will it look like? You do have goals that you've mentioned for Seprod being labeled a good company, but paint us that picture of what the next 3 to 5 years looks like for the company.
Right, so I've shortened our strategic vision to like the 3 years. I mean, 5 years is just a little bit far out now with all the uncertainties globally. So in the next 3 years, so Sephora has grown from under 200 million US dollar revenue. I mean, this year will probably end somewhere in the region of 700 million US dollars in revenue. Within the next 3 years, I expect us to hit $1 billion in revenue through organic growth and further acquisition. I mean, we are in acquisition mode when it comes to adding value to our existing system, and we're growing organically. Um, we we're going to be, we're going to be a major company in this region. We are already a major company, and we're going to be one that's going to create value for the region, and we're expanding dramatically. The You're going to see us probably looking at some diversification strategy also, which is always important when you're looking to manage your risk going forward. We're going to go in some white spaces, but our core business, our beverage business, our milk business, our mills, our oils and margarine will continue to be our core. We'll continue to focus there, but not just supplying the Jamaica market, but going well beyond that. So our innovation portfolio is going to become a lot more aggressive. And what we've been doing for the last 10 years is what we're going to continue to do, but at a bigger scale for the next 3 years. We're scaling up, and very excited about it. I mean, I hope our investors, the people who invest in us, will also be excited by not just how the companies perform, but how it's manifesting in their pocket, whether through share price improvement or their dividends. So very excited about the future. And of course, when it comes to people, it's we want our people to be at a certain level. Want them to be representing, want people to look at them and say, this is Caribbean talent, and not just Caribbean talent, because we have other people that we're bringing in to complement the talent. But this is talent that is world class and can be competitive anywhere. We don't have to be the biggest and the best, but when in the space that we operate, we're going to be absolutely world class.
Awesome. So, I mean, I'm already looking forward to the next AGM for that report that you'll state how things have grown for the year, especially with both companies that will be listed, and I'm certainly going to look forward to that 3 year mark and the different milestones that will come up.
Yeah, but
So
one thing we have done though, Jeremy, is that we've been very public in stating our ambitions.
yes.
And because it kind of forces you to be held accountable, right? Because you put it out there. And we have been very consistent with our communication, very consistent with our execution. We'll be very consistent with our vision. And it's something that it puts you under pressure, but I mean, thankfully, for the most part, we have delivered on what we have said. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it's great for accountability. It reminds you on what you're working towards, right? I think the notion that some CEOs have where they don't want to make commitments because they don't want to be to be said that they either made a misstep or it didn't work out. I think in the way that you're doing it makes sense because as investors they know where you're headed, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's how it should be. So I want to close out with two personal questions. One, are you an investor? If yes, how do you invest, whether it's stocks or real estate or any other type of investment? So who is Richard as an investor?
I'm an investor, but my biggest investment is in my children. I mean, it's I keep I mean, I keep encouraging, especially the men, and I said to them, look after your family, look after your children, because they are your biggest investment. They are going to give you potentially your best return ever. So that's my biggest investment. And then I invest in stocks, locally and overseas. I'm a prudent investor because you do have children that are dependent on you. I mean, not just your children, but your wider community. And like most Jamaicans, you have a lot of dependence because I have my parents' pension, right? And that's how it works. But it's so I'm a prudent investor, but pretty much aggressive. I like to invest in space that I'm aware of, that I have knowledge about. And but I'm always invested. I mean, when the market is down, best time to invest. And what is real estate? A little bit of real estate, but most of the time for shares. I like ownership in companies. And
Nice.
what other question? I can't remember.
So there's one final question. My wife actually had a comment in between. She messaged me. It's like, ask Richard what is in the monster milk because our son loves it. He'll wake us up out of bed and that he wants his monster milk first thing in the morning. So, so she wanted me to ask.
Listen, that's the future CEO for Seprod, hopefully. So, yeah. So what I was reading next or something like that,
Yes,
right?
yes. So what are you listening to in terms of podcast? What are you reading, and how are you, developing yourself?
So I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to disappoint your listeners. So I don't really do the podcasting and the reading the business book thing and everything. I mean, so I listen to a lot of music, just normal music. I'm a DJ person. It's for books. I read fictional books. I mean, it's reading and listening music and those things are my moment to just reset and just have me. I mean, the book I'm actually reading now, actually, funny enough, is a book called it's Osama bin Laden story. And what caught me tweeted that the on the cover it says the first casualty of war is the truth, the second is your soul. And that really pulled me into it. So I mean, I'm reading that, and it's kind of relevant because of the Middle East situation. But how do I develop myself? I mean, can I say to you that I develop myself by interacting with people? I love being around people. I mean, you can't tell sometimes because I can be quite miserable, but I love being around people. I love hearing people's story. Love hearing people's experiences, and those are what I use to help improve myself. And and that's it really. I mean, I'm so boring. God.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I mean, I like to think about it as this is a season that you're in, right? Because different seasons may require us to do different things, and if you're able to do your job so well, clearly there's a method to the processes that you go through to ensure that you're able to do what you need to do as CEO. So, I mean,
But
it's
the job also, like I said to you, the point is that I know what my big vision is, and the big vision is to be part of is to leave a legacy, right? To when you, I mean, because we're only here for a time, and God has given us the opportunity to get up every morning, to give us strength, to give us an opportunity, to put us in a space where we can make a difference, and we have to utilize it. We have to utilize it. It's a blessing, and if you don't utilize it, you'd have done wrong by yourself. And so work gives you the pathway to execute a lot of those. I mean, that's why I'm blessed every day and thankful to be working at Seprod or any other company I've ever been at. But thankful for the opportunity. And in many ways, when you look at Jamaica, we have so much. I mean, yes, we always talk about all the good things that are happening, but in my mind, where we are versus where we could be, there's such a gap. And I think I want much more from our country, or much more for our people. But I've accepted a standard and a quality of living that it's not good enough for me. I think that we could be so much more. I mean, I'm talking probably makes sense to the Caribbean. We have so much talent and so much opportunity. And I know, it might be not a right form to say, but last night I was so sad. And I left work at 10 o'clock with my team, working on some things. And I got home and saw the breaking news about the taxi shot up on the 7 and 9-year-old. And I just couldn't sleep, it just break my heart, break my heart. Because we talk about infrastructure we're developing, but our most important resource is our people. And we haven't done a good job in developing our people. And that's what drives me. I want our people to be better, our country to be better.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to close, a call to action for everybody. I agree with you, right? We miss those opportunities to truly make a difference if we miss the things that really are, helping us to unlock the real potential of us as a country, right? We know all the stories about, Jamaica's recognition and how well we do in certain aspects, but there are some areas that we have great opportunity to make, a difference. So, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a great call to action for everybody. So thank you so much for that. So Richard, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity.
I don't do much interviews like these, but I like your wife. Your wife was very persistent, as were you. So, and good luck. And I mean, continue to do good. Continue to educate people about investment. And continue to make Jamaica great. And as a Calabar man, I'm proud of you. Here, sir.
Here, sir. So I really hope you enjoyed that interview with Richard. Again, I thought it was just a great conversation between us. You saw Richard's heart for just his company, his employees, the country, and just if you have any questions for Richard, post them in the comments below. We'll go ahead and forward those to him. Otherwise, be sure to check out our other episodes in the CEO series and let us know which CEOs you'd want us to interview next. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the very next video.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest.